Good morning, Mananda. Myself Bhavani from Civil Department. Today, I'm going to give the lecture on definition and terminology of environmental hazards and disaster. And in the last few classes, we have completed the different types of environmental hazards and what are the types of these environmental hazards, what are the disasters we are going to face, whether it may be man-made disaster or whether it may be natural disasters also. And here in this one, just we are going to know about this definition and terminology which are involved in this environmental hazard and disasters chapter. And firstly means what is the definitions and also what is the terminology in between these modules means. Here first one is what are environmental hazards means. Here means they will ask the definition like what are environmental hazards. Mainly what is the definition, we can write the definition, types and also the significance of this environmental hazard. Okay, means see here they asked the definition of the environmental hazard. And here in this one, what is meant by this environmental hazard means it is nothing but the potential threat towards the environment as well as the human health that can be risen from the natural disasters or maybe man-made disasters also. Okay, and here in this one also we will be having the types means natural hazards will be there and also the anthropogenic hazards will be there. Means these anthropogenic hazards nothing but man-made disasters. Okay, and here in this natural disasters we can say earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, volcanoes, hurricanes and some other natural disasters that can be caused naturally only, not by any man-made disaster or man-induced disasters also. Okay, next one is anthropogenic hazard, and in this one this is nothing but the man-made disaster, and in this man-made disaster that can be caused by the human beings. Okay, means when we are going to develop the urbanization in our country means we are going to cut the trees. Why? Because overall our land will be covered with the vegetation. Means if we are going to construct the houses means automatically we are going to remove the vegetation and clean that area. After that only we are going to construct. So for that purpose we are doing the deforestation. Means deforestation is one of the man-made disaster, and due to this disaster there will be so many earthquakes are occurring and so many natural disasters can be occurred due to this deforestation also. And some other hazards nothing but noise pollution, air pollution, water pollution. Why? Because of the contamination water also we are going to get the waterborne diseases and all. And some like air pollution, from that air pollution also carbon dioxide is going to release into the atmosphere. From that one that will be a very great damage towards the ozone layer. And also nuclear accidents, and here so means like nuclear bomb, hydrogen bombs, these are all when they did this type of nuclear accidents also, that is one of the man-made disaster. Mainly what is the main significance of this environmental hazard is we have to understand this environmental hazard. Why? Because it is crucial for the assessment and all the risk assessment and also for the disaster preparedness and also for the environmental management. Means if you understand this type of environmental hazards means whether it may be natural hazards or whether it may be man-made hazard, when we are going to understand this type of disasters means then we can just prepare for this disaster and we can analyze when this disaster can be happening, that like we can be very much aware of these disasters. So we have to understand this environmental disasters or hazards also. Next one is define environmental disasters. Means Now we studied about environmental hazards, means from what are the main hazards that are occurring towards this environmental, like that. Here, main definition of this environmental disaster is, it is nothing but the catastrophic event that can cause the significant damage towards the human beings and for the ecosystem and also for the economic activities. Why? Because when any disaster happen means that will disrupt the whole human life and also the overall infrastructure also. Means when that happening means that will be great loss towards the means economic loss will be there. So due to this environmental hazard, there will be economic activities can also be damaged due to this disasters. And due to this environmental disaster, that will result in the interaction of environmental hazard with the vulnerable systems, okay, that will lead towards the widespread damage. So what are the main characteristics of this environmental disaster is magnitude. Means here this magnitude and this frequency, this all can be, we can compare for this earthquake. Means if the magnitude means when there is increase in the magnitude means that much heavy earthquakes can be occurred. So due to this magnitude, that is overall scale of the disaster can be seen in terms of the impact on both the human life and also their properties and as well as the environment also. And next one is frequency, and in this frequency we can often means how these same similar disasters can be occurred in the given areas or some time period. Means we have to be very much aware at what time, at what period these environmental disasters are happening. Like that we can be very well known as per this previous data. Next one is duration. Means here we have to also confirm with the length of the time, means how much time this disaster is happened. Means whether it may be in hours or whether it may be in some minutes also. Means when some of the earthquakes with very high magnitude or with very low magnitude also, these earthquakes may be occurred with some only minutes only, not for hours. Okay, and these tsunamis also sometimes occurred within some minutes only. So we have to analyze the time of this disaster. Okay, means how much area, means we have to understand the length of the time that disaster can be impacted the whole area, and also speed of the onset. Means when these disaster are developed, means how quickly this disaster can be developed, that is called as a speed of the onset. Means when we know these overall characteristics of any type of disaster, we can be very much aware, mean aware of this disaster, when they will be happening, at what time they will be happening, means how much time it can take, like that we can know. So by knowing this one, we can be get the data from the previous one, and we can assume the future disasters also. Means so that we can be very much prepared before the before getting of these disasters here. And here one of the example of this speed of onset is, means earthquake versus slow onset like the drought. Means if earthquakes occurred means automatically it will occur within some minutes only. But if drought occurred means, drought disaster occur means, it will take very, means so much time it will take, means some months also it can be taken, or some 2 to 3 months it can be taken. Means here we can just compare the disaster timings, whether it may be earthquake or whether it may be droughts also. Next one is examples, and in this one, in this natural disaster will be there and man-made disaster. And in this natural disaster we can see the tsunami in the year 2004. Means at that time so much of the loss of life and also the property loss can be seen. And man-made disaster we can see in Chernobyl nuclear disaster, that is in 1988. It is also caused a huge damage towards the environmental. Why? Because due to this contamination of this overall means in contamination of this air and contamination of the water is affected at that area due to this nuclear disasters. And next one is impact. Means when these environmental disasters are happen, what is the main impact towards the economic and also the environmental? Here we have to means local means when these disasters happen, local capacity have to respond, and they have to necessitating this external aid and also the long term efforts. And so that due to means when we get know about this impact, there will be we can just decrease somewhat the disasters here. And next one is what is meant by environmental stress here. What is the main definition of this environmental stress is it is refers to the strain on the environment that can be caused due to the natural and also the man-made factors, means that will disrupt the whole balance of the natural systems. Okay, and what are the main examples of this one is means due to this environmental stress, mainly if man-made disaster we can take. If in this deforestation will lead towards the habitat loss, and likewise these whether it may be air pollution or noise pollution or water pollution, these all lead towards the depletion of the ozone layer here. Okay, and next one is consequences, and here there will be prolonged environmental stress towards the irreversible damage, and that will reduce the resilience of the ecosystem, and also the that can increase the likelihood of the disasters here. Means we have to be very careful if this disaster are going to be happen. Means if this disaster happen means there will be so much stress and strain towards the environment due to this natural and as well as the human made disaster. So we have to be very much aware of this disaster. Means when this disaster happen means there will be so much reduction in the resilience of the ecosystem, and also the increase in the likelihood of the disaster, means there will be increase in the disasters also if we can't take the normal measures we can't take, means that will make the disasters can be happened again and again. So we can't do this deforestation like that one. Means reforestation can be done if we want to save our environment as well as the overall environmental conditions. Next one is what are the main concepts of environmental hazards, stress, and disaster? And here mainly interrelation will be there. Means because of this hazard, stress, and also the disaster, there will be interrelation, and due to this interrelation, there will be a hazard that creates the potential stress towards the environment. Why? Because this disaster and also the hazards only that will give so much stress and strain towards this environment. And when this system cannot cope up, means that will leads towards this disaster. So there will be interrelation between this hazard, stress, and also the disaster. And main example of this environmental hazard is continuous industrial emissions. Means this continuous industrial emissions is also one of the hazard. Why? Because when industries and factories will be continuously working, means when they are working means from that industries we can get the wastage, and that wastage that can be come out in the form of air or gas, and some can be come in the form of solids through the outlets. Okay, through the outlets that wastage come means that will go towards the water bodies, and if that water bodies they get this wastage means that are going to be contaminated, means that is called as the water contamination or water pollution. So likewise when these wastage of these industries that goes into the air just like gases, means that is called as the air pollution. So here what is the main example, means comparison of this hazard, stress, and also disaster, means that will if the continuous industrial emissions will be there, means that will create the water pollution or air pollution, that is called as the stress here. Okay, and due to this pollution that will create the public health crisis towards the society, that is called as the disaster here. Okay, and next one is human influence. Means what is the main human influence towards this environmental hazards, and due to this man-made disaster, what is the main impact towards our society or towards the climatic condition. Okay, and in this one, anthropogenic factors. And in this one, when we are doing this industrialization, urbanization, and deforestation, means that will automatically increase the overall frequency and severity of the environmental hazard, and that will lead towards the more frequent disaster. Means if we are going to reduce the deforestation, urbanization, and industrialization also, we can get rid of this disaster somewhat. Okay, in some of the region we can't mitigate this type of disaster, but when the disaster are in our hands, means that will be, we are going to be mitigate that one by reduce this deforestation, urbanization, and also the industrialization. So there will be no frequent disasters are going to be happen. Next one is example. And in this one, coastal development that will increases the vulnerability towards the overall hurricanes. Why? Because coastal development nothing but very edge, means overall if the seas or rivers will be there, means if these are our houses, this is the overall water body, means this will be called as the coastal region. Means in this coastal region, if you are going to construct the houses, means that will increase the vulnerability towards the hurricanes. Means there, why it is creating the hurricanes, means we are getting, means we are giving so much pressure towards the coastal area. Means when we are giving so much pressure towards this coastal area, means that will create the hurricanes like that one. Okay, next one is, what are the different approaches to understand this environmental hazard and disaster. Here we are having so many approaches to understand this environmental hazard. It may be human ecology, landscape, perception, and so many we are having approaches here. In that one, first one is human ecology approach. And here what is meant by this human ecology approach, means here in this approach we are going to study the interaction between the humans and their environment. Means overall this approach will be focuses on the human activities to contribute or to mitigate this type of environmental hazards. And what is the applications from this approach is, we can understand the agricultural practices. Means when we are going to understand the agricultural practices, means we can get rid of this soil degradation. Okay, means or how this urban planning can be reduce the flood risk also. So we have to understand this approach, human ecology approach. To when we are going to understand, means we can easily understand how these agricultural practices are leading towards the soil degradation, or how this urban planning can be reduce the flood risk also. And main significance of this approach are, it can provide the insights, means how human activities and also the social structures can neither be um, extravagate or deviate overall elevate this environmental risk. Means by overall analyze this approaching, we can understand how the humans can analyze the overall ecosystem of the overall of the nature, and so that because of this societal structures also that can neither be create or nor be destroyed this environmental risk also. And next one is landscape approach, and mainly it will focuses on the spatial patterns of how we are going to use the land use and the relationship with the environmental hazards. And here in this one, only this approach will concentrate towards the land use, and also the that land use will give relationship towards the environmental hazard, that is called as the land use approach. Main key concepts of this landscape approach are spatial heterogeneity. And in this one, what is meant by this, means here the variation in overall the landscape features like elevation, vegetation cover, and also the land use, that will overall influence the distribution and also intensity of the hazards here. Means when we are, means landscape features we have to analyze first of all. Means when these landscapes are destroyed, means that will be a great damage towards the vegetation and also the livestock there. Okay, so we have to just um, we have to just verify the overall elevation, vegetation cover, and also the land use of this overall landscape area, and how that landscape can influence the overall distribution and also the intensity of these hazards. Okay, and next one is connectivity, and in this connectivity we are going to analyze how different landscape elements that are maybe elevation, vegetation, or land use also, that are connected with each other, and how they can affect the flow of water, nutrients, and also the species, and as well as the spreading of these wildfires or also floods. So when we are going to analyze the overall land area, means where the disaster prone areas are there, we are going to first analyze the area there, and also we are going to analyze the land use, vegetation cover, and also the elevation we are going to analyze, so that we can't do any type of deforestation, or if we are going to just avoid this type of analyze of the landscape features, means we are going to get the wildfires and also the floods. Means if we are going to do everything for this landscape, means we are going to just eradicate or mitigate some part of the disaster risk. Okay, and next one is applications. Here we are going to analyze the deforestation in a region that may have risk towards the landslides or also the flooding. Means deforestation can be done in the disaster risk prone areas. Okay, because if we do that deforestation, means that will be a great rise towards this flooding and also the landslides. And next one is significance. What is the main significance of this approach is it integrates the ecological, social, and also the environmental factors to create the solutions to manage the environmental risk. Means by analyzing the land use on, or how we are using this overall landscape features, means what is the elevation, what is the land space we are using, means by analyzing this one we can just somewhat we can reduce the disaster risk, okay, in that areas. So that will give great impact towards the ecological and also economic factors. And next one is ecosystem approach, and in this ecosystem approach, main definition of this one is it will consider the entire ecosystem, means how the living organisms and their interaction with this overall physical, environmental, everything they are going to study in this ecosystem approach. Means why we are doing this one, means to maintain the health of this both ecosystem and also to prevent the disaster here. Means we are going to study about these living organisms, whether it may be their um, animals, humans, vegetation, everything we are going to study in this one, and also their interaction towards the environment. Okay, main application of this ecosystem approach are wetland conservation to mitigate the flood risk, or forest preservation to prevent the soil erosion. Means if our overall land is exposed towards the means environmental condition, means there soil erosion can be occurred easily. So when we have to eradicate this soil erosion, means we have to grow them or we have to preserve the forest there. And also wetland conservation, we can do this to mitigate the food risk also, flood risk also. Okay, and next one is significance, and in this ecosystem approach we can also promote the sustainable development by balancing the human needs with the capacity of this ecosystem. Okay, overall in this approach we have to be mainly analyze and also balance these human needs, and as well as the livestock, as well as the living organisms that are living towards in our environment. We have to be very careful and we have to do everything to preserve this type of ecosystem. Okay, next one is perception approach, and in this one main definition of this one is when any disasters are occurring or occurred means how people can pursue and respond towards these environmental hazards. Okay, and we are going to understand that perceptions of risk influence behavior there. Means when we are going to analyze this type of risk influence behavior means somewhat we can just pursue and respond towards this environmental hazards. Main application of this perception approach is we are going to studying why these communities might choose to live in the hazard prone areas despite the risk. Means some people they already know their living area is prone to be disaster. Okay, means at that time they don't know means when this disaster are going to be happen. So in this perception approach means we have to study the people and study the overall disaster risk prone areas there. Means when we do that one we have to communicate with the people who are living in that coastal regions or disaster prone areas. Means despite the risk also they are living there. Means we have to understand their overall living system there. Means how these cultural factors also are going to influence this disaster preparedness. Okay, main significance of this approach is we have to understand the risk perception. It is critical for designing the effective disaster risk reduction strategies that may be with the public and also for the private, and also to encourage the appropriate actions also. Next one is what are the applications of human ecology in geographical research. Means mainly this human ecology it will overall it can relate overall the humans and their environments, whether it may be living organisms, whether it may be plants, vegetation, everything comes under this ecology or ecosystem. Means here mainly we have to understand and also we have to know about the applications of this human ecology. Main definition of this human ecology according to means in geography is this human ecology is nothing but the relationship between a human and also their environment that may be considering the both cultural, society, social, economic and also the political factors. That is called as the human ecology here. Next one is research focus, and in this research focus we have to be very much aware how these disasters are going to be happen. Means how much time it will take, and also overall research we have to done on this disaster, whether it may be natural disaster or whether it may be man-made disaster. Means we have to just focus on this research on this disaster. Means how we humans can be modify this environment and increase this vulnerability. We can do this one. Okay, risk assessment should be done when these disasters are occurred or occurring also. Okay, next one is disaster management, and we have to improve the strategies to reduce the impact of the disasters. Means by understanding the human environment interactions also. Means why these human environment interactions is connected means there when we do this overall deforestation or soil erosion is also sometimes done by these man-made disasters only. Means when these man-made disasters are going to be done means so at that time environment interaction with these humans can be analyzed, and so likewise deforestation can't be done means that can be beneficial towards the environment. So reforestation can be done when we want our environment to be safe from any type of disasters. Next one is sustainable development, and in this one balancing the human needs with the environmental protection can be done. Means we have to sustainable development can be seen in the human beings with respect to the environmental protection. Main key point of this one is this human ecology it will provide the comprehensive framework for understanding of these complex interactions between humans and also the environment. Means when we humans are very much aware when means for example, deforestation done means what is the main impact towards the environment. We humans have to know that type of thing. Okay, means if we did this deforestation means what will be the impact towards the environment. So we have to mitigate that type of disasters. Means if deforestation is can't be done means that will be beneficial towards the environment. So we humans have to protect the environment which is in our hands. Okay, we have to understand the overall complex interactions that may be between the humans as well as the environment. Next one is what is environmental degradation? And here environmental degradation is nothing but the deterioration of the environment through the depletion of natural resources and destruction of the ecosystem, and sometimes air pollution, water pollution. These are all the environmental degradation, means nothing but the deterioration of the environment here. And because of this one, that will lead towards the loss of biodiversity and also the disruption of natural processes. Okay, main causes of this environmental degradation is deforestation, pollution, and also the over exploitation. Mainly what is meant by this deforestation is cutting of the trees. Okay, means when this deforestation can be done because of the urbanization, development of the urbanization, or for the agricultural purpose also. Okay, means when we are doing this deforestation means we are going to create the land to be that maybe that land can be available for this agriculture and also for the urban development. When we do this deforestation means that will lead towards the soil erosion, means that will be great damage towards the biodiversity and also the climate change also. Environmental conditions are drastically changing from decades to decades because of this deforestation also. Next one is pollution, and in this pollution, pollution can be because of water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, everything it will comes under this environmental degradation. Here that may be because of this pollution can be because of contamination of water or air or soil by the harmful substances that will comes towards the water bodies, or that can go towards the soil. These are all can be contamination of the soil, water, and also the air. Means what they will do means contamination they can do or affect the overall ecosystem and also the human health here. And nextly, over exploitation. Here, unsustainable use of these natural resources like overfishing and also gaining, means some people they may just imagine there will be so much treasure into the water. Means when we are doing some treasure hunting inside of the water means that will also cause the unsustainable use of these natural resources, means that will deploy the overall stocks and also damages the marine ecosystem. So if we want our marine ecosystem to be safe means we can't do this overfishing or digging of the minerals in the water also. Main consequences of this one is loss of ecosystem services, and that can also increase the vulnerability towards these hazards, and also that will reduce the quality of life for overall affected populations. Best example because of this one is desertification. This desertification can be seen in the region of Sahel region in Africa. Here, desertification is occurred due to the overgazing, deforestation, and also the climate change. Means some disasters can be in the hands of our human beings, but some of the disaster can be in our hands. So that type of disaster we have to be very much careful towards the environmental conditions. Okay, means this deforestation can be occurred due to the overgazing, deforestation, and that will lead towards this environmental changes also. Main significance of this one is we have to prevent the environmental degradation means to maintain the ecosystem health and also reduce the risk of disasters here. Means mainly by preventing this type of environmental degradation, we are going to maintain the ecosystem health and also we can reduce the risk of the disasters here. And next one is what is ecological footprint? Here in this ecological footprint, it is nothing but the measure of the demand that can be placed on the ecosystems by human activities that can be expressed in terms of amount of natural resources we are going to means damage. Okay, means that type of natural resources can be beneficial for the climate and also towards the human beings. So when we do this ecological footprint means damage towards the ecosystem because of our humans only, means that may be in terms of the natural resources which are required to sustain this given population or activity also. Some of the components of this ecological footprint is carbon footprint and also biocapacity. In this carbon footprint, when the overall carbon dioxide gas is go towards the air, means that will cause the air pollution, and where greenhouse gases can be emitted because of the release of carbon dioxide into the air, that will emitted by the human beings and that will contribute to the drastic loss of this climatic change. Next one is biocapacity. Here biocapacity is nothing but the capacity of any type of area to generate the renewable resources. Okay, some of the renewable gases will be there. Means when we want that type of gases, means we are just damaging the overall ecosystem. So at that time when we are damaging, means we can't get this natural resources or renewable resources also. Why? Because they can absorb the wastages and also it can include the carbon dioxide, not nitrogen gases also. When the land overall that takes this type of harmful gases, means that will not give any type of renewable resources which are useful towards the human beings also. Best example of this one is when a country with a high ecological footprint, they can consume the more resources and they produce the more wastages than its biocapacity, and that will lead towards the environmental degradation. Means nothing but environmental deterioration can be seen because of this ecological footprint. Main significance of this one is reducing of the ecological footprint that can be essential for the achieving of sustainability and preventing the overall exploitation of these natural resources. Okay, and this is the overall summary. And here environmental hazards or potential threats and disaster can be because of these consequences of hazards here. Next one is environmental stress is the strain on the environment that will lead towards the cause of this disaster. If we unchecked, means that will cause great damage towards the environmental conditions. And also these different approaches like perception approach and also human ecology landscape approach, these are all the ecosystem approach. These are all provide them valuable frameworks for understanding and for managing of this environmental hazards or disaster. Main application of this geological research that can be helpful for the development of these strategies like risk reduction, disaster management for the sustainable development of the environment also. Okay, and these are the references books. Thank you everyone.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.